So as I get ready to turn 30, Lord willing, in a month, I am looking forward to I'm looking forward to most the ways that God will use me during this time. I really don't want to put a cap on it or a top on or anything like that. I'm just a willing vessel to be used by God however he sees fit. And 30 is a significant number in the Bible. So, hey, I'm here to encourage you. Get ready. I'm encouraging myself to get ready. Hi everyone, I'm Leah. Welcome back to my YouTube channel where we talk about all things faith with a splash of lifestyle. So I just want to say, if you have not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. And if this video proves to be helpful to you, please share it with someone or like the video. So today is actually 30 days away from my 30th birthday. And I didn't know it was gonna be planned like this when I got ready to record this video, but here we are, 30 days away from 30. And 30 is, it's a significant year. It's considered like a milestone birthday. And so I wanted to, as I was reflecting and thinking about turning 30, I decided to do a biblical study on people in the Bible, what they were doing when they were 30 years old. And this has proven to be fun. They were going to go exploring through 4 people in the Bible and what they were doing at 30 years old. Because let me just preface this video and say, age is not a factor in the kingdom of God. It's not a factor. And I know that society may lead you to feel like you're too old, or even you're too young, or your time has passed, or you should have done this already. But that does not, it's not the same way for the things that God wants to do with you or the ways that he wants to use you. So I thought this would be cool to highlight people at 30. Okay, so I'm going to give you 4 people. And a few of these may be a bit of a surprise. All right, was born around 1900 years before Jesus came. So we'll start there. That's what I meant by order. First person is Joseph. A little backstory about Joseph. Joseph endured many trials in his life, from being betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, wrongly accused and jailed, to be appointed and promoted by Pharaoh as governor over the land. Now, I have always since a child loved the story of Joseph. And I didn't really know why I was always drawn to his story, but he is the classic sort of underdog. I mean, if you think about Joseph in modern day, how many people how many people do we know who are ex-cons who are now promoted to like a head of state type of position? That is incredibly rare. That is something where you can literally look at that person. You can say, it was only God. It was just by the grace of God that, God's hand was on your life for this to happen. So Joseph, he went through a lot. And he's on this list because after the jail time, after the slavery and all of that, he was appointed as governor over the land. What you have to realize is Egypt was about to go into a time of famine, 7 years of famine, 7 years of plenty. And so he was appointed as governor over the land to manage sort of the storage and the food and the rationing and all of that. And this happened when he was 30 years old. If you read Genesis chapter 41, verse 46, it will give his exact age. He was 30, and he got this awesome promotion. And so that just kind of went to show me that, well, you know what? No, I'm going to save that for later. So that's what Joseph was doing at 30. I mean, clearly he could have given up. He could have given up when he went to jail or when he was sold in slavery. sold into slavery by his brothers, you know. But as you read the story of Joseph, one thing that really stands out to me is that he never lost his faith. Like, no matter what trials came his way, when he never lost his faith, he never stopped believing in God. He never wavered. So at 30, he was abundantly blessed. Okay, next on our list, journey to 30 is David. David is very significant. Actually, both David and Joseph are significant because Jesus came through that family line. Here's the thing. David was anointed king years prior. Samuel the prophet anointed David as king when he saw him out in the field with his brothers. He said, that's the one. And David was a young boy at that time. My study Bible, I did the math. David was around, he was like a young teenager, like 12 or 13 around this time when he was anointed or proclaimed to be king. Okay, but when he was anointed, Saul was still actually king during that time. So basically, Samuel came, he was looking, he said he was going to be the next king of Israel. It's going to be David. But a big chunk of time passed from him being anointed king and him actually becoming king, similar to Joseph. Joseph had this dream when he was a teenager, and that he would be ruling the land. Joseph was around 17 years old, and we didn't see that actually come to pass until he was 30. So there's that time piece. Same thing with David. Later, okay, if you read 2 Samuel chapter 5, verse 4, this is after Saul had died. David, it says David was 30 years old and he became king. He took the throne. And then as you continue to read 2 Samuel from there on out, he is now addressed as King David. When God reveals something to you, or when you know God has something destined for you, we are not operating on our own time. And I can go into a whole nother video on this. It has taken me a long time to get that process, to get that type of thought process. But we're not operating on our time. We're operating on God's time. And so, yes, David had that promise when he was a young teenager, but it took around 17, 18 years for that promise to be fulfilled, for him to actually be appointed king and rule over Israel. So that's what David was doing at 30. He became a king. Okay, next up on the list is Ezekiel. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I did not know much about Ezekiel before starting this at all. I knew that he was an Old Testament prophet, and that is all that I knew. So, I decided to read, in true studying fashion, I decided to read the whole book because I needed a good full picture of who Ezekiel was and kind of what his life looked like. And I just want to encourage you, as you're reading the Bible, get the full picture. Don't just pull a verse out and like, you know, because then you could kind of get it out of context. It's important to know what was happening, what was going on in the time, and because it paints the full picture. That's why I encourage a study Bible, because it has, you know, maps and timelines, and you're able to piece the story together more. So Ezekiel, we don't really know much about him. Literally, he has a book in the Bible, and prior to that, you don't hear mention of Ezekiel. So I'm going off of what I read. Ezekiel was pretty much minding his own business. This is talked about in Ezekiel chapter 1, the very first chapter. He was minding his business, and then God called him to be a prophet at 30. So you're like, wow. You know, me thinking, I'm like, was he had to have been getting prepared. I'm going to go into that in just a moment. He had to have been getting prepared, or you know, I'm sure that this wasn't a shock to him, basically. So he was called to be a prophet, and he had a very tough job. He basically was used as like a lot of the things. Ezekiel was a very hard book to read just because of a lot of the things that God put Ezekiel through, just as a symbol to the children of Israel. And so most of the things that Ezekiel did was to represent, like he actually did them, but it was to represent symbolic things or to represent God's relationship with the children of Israel. And so that was interesting to read. My takeaway from Ezekiel was just that he was a faithful man of God. We don't hear too much about his feelings or his emotions or things, but he was asked to do some very hard things, and he is again somebody who did not waver. So that's what Ezekiel was doing at 30. And the very last person that I wanted to go into, like I said, this is all happening in chronological order, is Jesus. Yes, that's right. Jesus started his ministry at the age of 30. And so you can read this in Luke chapter 3, verse 23. Actually, the book of Luke is the only place where they give this account of Jesus starting his ministry at 30. And I found that to be very interesting that it was included because it's not in any of the other gospels. So it's just found in Luke. Now we know that Jesus was preaching in the temple at 12 years old. But we don't know again what happened from 12 to 30. That's 18 years. That's a big chunk of time. But we have to imagine that he was preparing. Okay, he was working and just preparing to start his ministry. And then he also knew that it would be, once he started, he knew that it was just a set amount of time before his crucifixion. And so this study has just really made me reflect on the art of preparation. Okay, because Jesus could have went out and started this at 12. But that's not how God wanted it planned out. That's not how God wanted it to go. He needed that time to prepare. So you know what? I just want to encourage you, if you've gone through some things that you feel like they don't make sense to you, they've been trials, they've been hard, God will use literally everything for him. So some things are already being developed and prepared for an appointed time. The time that I focused on was 30 years old. But you have to know that every single thing that you're going through, it's all working. Literally, God is working, bringing all things together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. So all of these things, it's like a puzzle. Everything is going together. Joseph would not have been, had he not been went to jail falsely, he would not have been able to be appointed governor and then be able to help not just his family but the whole country. And then that whole family relationship was reconciled. Same thing with every person that I mentioned. They had to go through a process. The Bible does not always talk to us about that preparation process, but we know that it had to happen. I just also want to encourage you that do not get caught up in society or the world telling you that you have to accomplish X, Y, and Z by a certain age, whether that's beyond 30 or at 30 itself. This whatever time lapse that you're experiencing, that's just preparation. It's preparation to do what God has already put in you to do. It's just preparing. God is simply just preparing the way. And so it's a significant age, and I don't want anybody to feel like ashamed or behind, or you know, whatever your feelings may be towards 30, we see great things happening in the lives of every single person that I've mentioned. So do not be dismayed or do not be discouraged about turning 30 or any age where you may have felt like your life has passed you by, or you may have felt like, you know, you missed opportunities. That was something that I personally struggled with for a long time. I felt like I had missed an abundance of opportunities, or, you know, I've missed all this time because I wasn't living for God. And the truth is, God will use all that and take all of that and still get his purpose, his mission accomplished, regardless. So I just, you know, I enjoyed doing this study because I learned a lot. I learned that great things can happen at 30. Literally, all of these are you know, great things happening, and God using each of these people during their time. You know, I'm still stuck on the fact that Jesus started his ministry around 30, and it was a short ministry because we know that after 3 years he was crucified. So it's just the preparation, you guys. It's the preparation. It's the stuff that you're doing behind the scenes that nobody sees outside of you and God. It's your prayers. It's your faithfulness. It's your self-sacrificing. It's your giving, your serving. It's everything that you're doing is literally preparing you. God is making you better, and he's preparing you for him to get the glory, because as we know, we are made to worship God. And so, of course, he's going to create us in a way that brings the glory back to him. And all of these people that I mentioned have done that. And and it just so happens to be at the age of 30. So, I just want to encourage you. 30 is going to be a great year. If you have already turned 30, let me know how you felt about entering that new chapter. If so, as I get ready to turn 30, Lord willing, in a month, I am looking forward to I'm looking forward to most the ways that God will use me during this time. I really don't want to put a cap on it or a top on it or anything like that. I'm just a willing vessel to be used by God however he sees fit. And 30 is a significant number in the Bible. So, hey, I'm here to encourage you. Get ready. I'm encouraging myself to get ready. So again, I want to thank you guys for watching. Did I miss anybody? If you, like, Leah, you know you missed this person, go ahead and put them in the comments. We could do a follow-up. Thank you for watching. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please like, follow, and subscribe. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.